There are moments in life when everything shifts. A single day, a single decision, a single moment can change the course of your future. And I believe with all my heart that February 6th is one of those days. This isn't just another date on the calendar. It's a divine appointment, a moment set in time where doors will open, breakthroughs will come, and the path ahead will be revealed in ways you never imagined. Some of you have been praying, waiting, believing, and holding on for a long time. You've been asking, when is it going to happen for me? When will I see the promises fulfilled? When will the struggle end? Let me tell you, it's happening now. The shift has already begun. The things you've been believing for are aligning in the unseen realm. The right people, the right opportunities, and the right circumstances are being orchestrated at this very moment. There are moments in life when it feels like nothing is happening, as if you've been waiting forever for things to change. You've prayed, you've believed, and you've held on, but it seems like the breakthrough is nowhere in sight. But just because you don't see anything doesn't mean nothing is happening. There are divine moments when things shift, when what has been held up is suddenly released, when what was delayed is now delivered. This is one of those moments. This is a time when things begin to align, when what seemed out of reach is now coming within grasp. The things you've been waiting for, the prayers you've been lifting up, the doors you thought were closed, everything is coming together in a way that only God can orchestrate. There is a set time for your breakthrough, a moment when what has been prepared for you is finally released. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it's not on the way. Sometimes the delay is not a denial, it's preparation. There are things being arranged behind the scenes that you don't even know about. People are being moved into position. Opportunities are being put in place. Favor is being stirred up. When the right time comes, it won't be a struggle. It won't be something you have to force. It will happen effortlessly because it has already been written in your destiny. What you need to do now is to stay in faith. Don't let doubt creep in and convince you that nothing is changing. Just because you don't see it with your natural eyes doesn't mean it's not happening in the spiritual realm. The moment you prayed, the moment you believed, things were already set in motion. Every delay, every setback, every disappointment was leading you to something greater. Sometimes what looks like a closed door is really just a reroute to something better. The shift is already happening. The breakthrough is already on its way. There will be a moment when things change suddenly, when what you've been believing for manifests right before your eyes. Stay expectant. Keep your heart full of faith. And don't allow distractions to pull you away from what's coming. What's ahead of you is greater than what's behind you. This is a time to prepare, to position yourself, to get ready for what's about to unfold. You are stepping into something new, something better than you imagined. What didn't make sense before will start to make sense. What felt like a delay will now feel like divine timing. The right doors are about to open, and you won't have to knock them down. They will swing open effortlessly. Stay encouraged, stay expectant, and know that everything is working together for your good. It's happening, and it's happening now. There are seasons in life where it feels like nothing is changing. You've been faithful, you've done your best, yet the doors remain closed. You prayed, you've stood in faith, but the situation hasn't turned around. In these moments, it's easy to get discouraged, to think that maybe it's not meant to be. But what you can't see is what's happening behind the scenes. Just because you don't see anything changing doesn't mean God isn't working. The delay doesn't mean denial. What looks like a setback is often a setup for something greater. Sometimes before the breakthrough comes, there's a waiting period. It's in this waiting season that your faith is being tested, your character is being developed, and your endurance is being strengthened. When it feels like nothing is happening, that's when something is happening. The seeds you've planted, the prayers you've prayed, the faith you've stood on, it's all taking root beneath the surface. Just because you don't see it yet doesn't mean the shift isn't on the way. Think about a seed that's been planted in the ground. For weeks, even months, you see nothing. The surface looks the same. It would be easy to assume that nothing is happening. But underground, where you can't see, the seed is growing, roots are forming, strength is being developed. Then, at the right time, it breaks through the soil, seemingly out of nowhere. That's how life works. You may not see progress on the surface, but that doesn't mean it's not happening. The breakthrough is coming, and when it does, it will be bigger than you imagine. What's coming is not just an ordinary shift, it's an acceleration. The moment that's been ordained, the blessing that's been set aside, it's closer than you think. Suddenly the doors will open. Suddenly the opportunity will present itself. Suddenly the healing will manifest. It may seem like nothing is happening, but when the time is right, what was taking years will happen in moments. You won't have to force it. You won't have to manipulate it. When it's your time, nothing can stop it. This is why it's so important to stay in faith, to keep believing even when you don't see anything changing. Don't give up in the waiting season. Don't let doubt convince you that it's not coming. Keep speaking life. Keep standing in expectation, because what's ahead is worth the wait. There's a moment that's going to shift everything, and it's closer than you think. The right people are going to show up. The right doors are going to open, and what seemed impossible is going to suddenly become possible. You are on the verge of something greater. It may not look like it right now, but when the breakthrough comes, you'll look back and see how every delay, every challenge, every obstacle was all leading you to this moment. Stay faithful. Stay expectant. Because when it happens, it's going to be bigger, better, and more rewarding than you ever imagined. There are moments in life when doors seem to remain closed, when prayers seem to go unanswered, and when challenges feel overwhelming. It's easy to wonder if things will ever change, if the breakthrough will ever come, or if the situation will turn around. But during these times, something powerful is happening behind the scenes. What looks like a delay is often divine preparation. The pieces are coming together, and what's ahead is far greater than what's behind. Things don't happen on our timeline because we're not ready for them yet. There are blessings with our names on them, but they require growth, maturity, and strength that can only come through experience. It's not that the opportunity isn't there. It's that we are being prepared to step into it with confidence, wisdom, and the ability to sustain it. Just like a seed needs time underground before it can break through the soil, our waiting seasons are times of unseen development. The roots are growing, the foundation is being strengthened, and when the time is right, what was once hidden will bloom. Delays are not denials. Too often we see delays as a sign that what we're believing for isn't going to happen. But in reality, delays are often divine detours leading us to something even better. A closed door doesn't mean rejection. It means redirection. The job that didn't work out, the relationship that ended, the opportunity that fell through, these are not signs of failure. They are signs of protection. What may seem like a loss in the moment is actually setting the stage for something greater. When one door closes, it's because a better one is about to open. The key is to trust the process, even when it doesn't make sense. When life seems unfair, when you feel overlooked, when others are moving forward and you feel stuck, that's when faith is tested the most. But it's in these moments that growth happens. Patience is developed, resilience is built, and strength is cultivated. Every great story has moments of struggle before the victory, moments of uncertainty before the breakthrough. What's happening now is not the end of your story. It's simply a chapter. If you keep moving forward, keep believing, keep doing the right thing, even when it's hard, you will see things shift in your favor. What seemed impossible will suddenly fall into place. What was meant to stop you will be the very thing that propels you. The season of waiting is not wasted. It's preparing you for what's next. And when the time is right, everything will come together in a way that you never imagined. The right doors will open, the right people will show up, and the right opportunities will be placed in your path. You are not forgotten, you are not overlooked, and you are not behind. Everything is working together, and soon you will step into the breakthrough you've been waiting for. Life has a way of presenting us with challenges that test our patience, our faith, and our endurance. There are times when it seems like the very thing we've been praying for is out of reach. When we feel stuck in a cycle of waiting, wondering if things will ever change. But just because you don't see anything happening doesn't mean that nothing is taking place. In the unseen, things are shifting. The right connections, the right doors, and the right opportunities are lining up in your favor. What seems like a delay is often a divine setup for something greater than you imagine. The waiting season feels like wasted time. But in reality, every moment serves a purpose. Just like an athlete trains before a big game, preparation is necessary before stepping into what's next. Strength is built in the waiting. Wisdom is gained through experience, and character is refined through challenges. What may feel like a setback is actually setting you up for a greater comeback. Every lesson you learn, every obstacle you overcome, is equipping you for the blessing that's ahead. If you were to receive it too soon, you might not be ready to handle it. But when the time is right, you'll step into it with confidence, knowing that you were prepared for it. The biggest breakthroughs come after the most difficult seasons. Right before a door opens, resistance often increases. You may face unexpected challenges, delays, or disappointments that try to discourage you. But those difficulties are not a sign to give up. They are a sign that something powerful is on the way. Opposition is often a sign that you're on the verge of something new. The closer you get to your breakthrough, the harder the enemy will try to convince you that it's never going to happen. But instead of giving in to fear or doubt, choose to stand firm. Keep speaking victory. Keep believing. Keep pressing forward. Every closed door is leading you to the right one. It's easy to feel discouraged when things don't work out the way we hoped. But sometimes what we see as rejection is actually protection. The opportunity that didn't happen, the relationship that ended, or the job that fell through. These are not signs that you failed. They are signs that there is something better on the way. If you could see what was ahead, you would understand why certain things had to end. What may seem like a disappointment today will make sense in hindsight when you see how it all worked together for your good. The key is to stay in faith, to trust even when it's hard, to believe that what's ahead is greater than what's behind. There is no obstacle too big, no challenge too great, and no delay that can stop what has been set in motion for you. What you've been waiting for is not just on the way, it's closer than you think. Keep moving forward because your breakthrough is coming. Life has a way of testing our patience, stretching our faith, and pushing us beyond our comfort zones. Sometimes we find ourselves in seasons where everything seems to be on hold. Doors remain shut, prayers seem unanswered, and progress feels slow. But just because you don't see movement doesn't mean that nothing is happening. In the unseen realm, things are shifting. The right connections, the right people, and the right opportunities are being arranged in your favor. What looks like a delay is often divine preparation. Every moment of waiting is positioning you for what's ahead. It's easy to grow discouraged when things don't go as planned. We think if it hasn't happened by now, maybe it never will. But the truth is, timing is everything. A premature blessing is no blessing at all. If you receive something before you're ready, it can become more of a burden than a gift. That's why the waiting season is not about punishment. It's about preparation. Just as gold is refined in the fire, your character is being strengthened, your endurance is being built, and your wisdom is increasing. When the time is right, what belongs to you will come into your life effortlessly. Before the breakthrough, there's a period of testing. Doors close, disappointments arise, and challenges seem to multiply. But this is not the time to shrink back in fear or lose hope. This is the time to press forward, knowing that opposition often comes before elevation. When you're on the verge of stepping into something greater, resistance will try to stop you. But that's not a sign to give up. It's a sign that something powerful is on the way. The closer you are to your breakthrough, the harder the enemy will try to convince you that it's never going to happen. Don't believe those lies. Instead, stand in faith and declare that your time is coming. Closed doors are not the end. They are simply redirections to something better. What you thought you needed may not have been God's best for you. That opportunity that didn't work out, that person who walked away, that plan that fell through. It may have disappointed you, but it didn't defeat you. You have to trust that if something didn't happen, it's because something greater is on the way. What you're believing for may not look the way you expected, but it will be exactly what you need. Keep moving forward, trusting that every closed door is leading you to the right one. You are closer than you think to seeing things turn around. The right opportunity, the right person, the right moment, it's all being arranged in perfect timing. Your job is to keep believing, keep preparing, and keep standing in faith. What's ahead is greater than what's behind. What you've been praying for is not just on the way, is already in motion. Stay ready because your breakthrough is coming sooner than you think. It often feels like we are waiting for the breakthrough we have prayed for. We see others stepping into their promises while we feel stuck, unsure of what the future holds. But remember, the waiting process is never in vain. It's during these moments of waiting that God works in ways we cannot see. The delay you are experiencing right now is not because God has forgotten about you, but because He is preparing something far better than you can imagine. When things don't seem to be moving, it's easy to think that progress is at a standstill. But know that God is at work behind the scenes. He's aligning circumstances, bringing the right people into your life, and positioning you for what's coming. You are not stuck. You are being prepared. When we feel stuck or delayed, we start doubting ourselves. We start questioning if we are good enough, if we have what it takes to succeed, or if God truly has a plan for us. But in these moments, we must remember that we are not fighting against our own weaknesses. We are fighting against the forces that want to distract us from the great things God has in store. When you face resistance, don't take it as a sign of failure. Take it as confirmation that you are on the right path. The closer you get to your breakthrough, the more the enemy will try to discourage you, but don't let those voices dictate your future. Stand firm in faith, knowing that what is meant for you will come to pass in due time. It's also important to trust that the closed doors in your life are not failures, but redirections. When something doesn't work out the way you planned, don't be discouraged. Trust that God knows what He's doing. You may have a plan, but God has a greater one, and sometimes His plan requires a detour. Those closed doors were part of His plan to direct you to something better. While it may be disappointing at first, in hindsight, you will look back and see that the closed door was actually leading you to the perfect opportunity that you couldn't have seen at the time. Another key to remember during these waiting periods is that God's timing is perfect. We may want things to happen in our own time, according to our own schedule, but God knows exactly when to release what we have been waiting for. He knows when we are truly ready, when our hearts are prepared, and when we are positioned to receive the blessing. Just because something hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it's not coming. When it does arrive, it will be everything you've hoped for and more. In moments of uncertainty, it's vital to keep believing and trusting that God is working in ways you cannot see. Every time you feel tempted to give up, remind yourself that the breakthrough is closer than you think. What you've been praying for is already in the works. Your perseverance is not in vain. There's a season for everything, and the season for your breakthrough is just around the corner. Remember that you are not alone in this journey. You have a support system of people who are rooting for you, and more importantly, God is with you every step of the way. He has not abandoned you. In fact, He is closer than ever. Trust in His promises and His timing. He has already seen your victory. Keep pressing forward, knowing that the best is yet to come. What God has for you is greater than anything you could imagine, and you are right where you need to be. When you feel like you are waiting for a breakthrough, remember that God is never idle in your life. He is always working behind the scenes, aligning circumstances and preparing you for something bigger than you can imagine. Trust that His timing is perfect, and though the road may seem long or uncertain, the end result will be far greater than anything you could have planned for yourself. The delays, the closed doors, the struggles, they are all part of His divine preparation to lead you to a place of success, joy, and fulfillment. Keep believing, keep pressing forward, and know that your breakthrough is closer than you think. Stay faithful, for God's plan for you is bigger than anything you could ever dream, and it is on its way. Don't give up. Your breakthrough is just around the corner.